Inside the grand hall of the Varkun Dominion, silence was a living thing. It pressed between armored pillars tall enough to swallow mountains, coiling through the ribbed shadows and metallic light until even the air felt afraid to move. Counselors from every corner of the Dominion filled the chamber, scaled, furred, plated, feathered, each tense, each rigid, each aware of the invisible pressure that none dared name aloud. It was the pressure of something approaching, something neither enemy nor ally. Something rumored to be fragile and weak, yet spoken of with unease. Whispers carried in low frequencies, subharmonics drifting in uneasy patterns. The air glimmered faintly as translation fields hummed in place. At the center of the hall stood the Dominion High Seat, an obsidian platform etched with the scars of ancient decisions. And upon it, Archregent Vaylor of the Caste Prime slowly rose from his throne. His many eyes reflected the chamber's dim lights, each focused outward yet seeing inward into the Dominion's fear. A faint tremor rippled through the hall, caused not by seismic shift or gravitational fluctuation, but by the restless bodies of an empire gathered beneath a single question. "Is it true?" one counselor whispered, their voice thin, brittle, barely willing to carry the words. "A lone vessel crossing our border." Another replied, "If the reports are correct, yes." A pause thickened. "Human." The word traveled through the chamber like a cold wind, not shouted, not emphasized, just spoken, yet every figure present felt an instinctive chill. Humanity was a name that carried no ancient wars, no treaties, no long shadow of conflict or conquest, and yet it carried something else, uncertainty. Because the human species was young by galactic measure, new to the great currents of power, but laden with a reputation for unpredictability, for decisions that defied cultural logic, for actions that carried consequences beyond intention. Archregent Vaylor lifted one hand, the gesture soft yet absolute. The murmurs died instantly. His voice, resonant and cold, filled the hall. "High Command has confirmed the incursion. A human starship, unidentified, unregistered, bearing no transponder recognized by our border authorities, crossed into Dominion space several cycles ago." His gaze swept over them. "And it has not deviated from its course." The hall stiffened. "It continues directly toward us." No one spoke. No one moved. The only sound was the deep, slow pulse of the chamber's gravity anchors. Vaylor continued, voice deepening into command. "Our sensor branches attempted initial communication. The ship did not reply. Our long-range monitors attempted spectral probing. The ship projected disruptive interference, not hostile, not destructive, but deliberate." A figure near the front, the ambassador of the Loon Breath, shivered visibly. Their species was known for intuition, and unease rippled across their delicate frills. "Deliberate silence, Archregent, can be a message." "Indeed," Vaylor said, "and that message is unclear." A counselor farther back, a hardened veteran with burnished carapace and deep war scars, leaned forward. "Humans do not challenge us. They do not provoke. They are reserved, cautious. Their diplomacy is careful. Their technology is unremarkable by strategic standards. Why would one ship enter our territory alone?" No answer came. "Unless," another counselor murmured, "it wishes to negotiate privately." "Or observe us," countered another, "study us without revealing intent." "Or," said a quieter voice, "it flees something." For a moment the hall held to that possibility. A lone vessel arriving in desperation, seeking refuge from a threat beyond their borders. That would fit the human tendency toward survivalism mixed with audacity. Humans were known to act boldly when cornered. But Archregent Vaylor's expression shifted. If this were a ship seeking refuge, it would have answered our hails. Humans follow procedures. They do not ignore protocol without reason. Silence hardened again. A new voice emerged from the lower tiers, belonging to strategist Karun, one of the Dominion's most analytical minds. "Archregent, you said the ship's interference was deliberate but not hostile. That suggests intention, purposeful obstruction of our scans. It wants to hide something. Its hull, its energy signature, its interior." Vaylor gave a single nod. "That is the logical assumption." "If a lone human ship enters our domain," Karun continued slowly, "and conceals its nature while approaching the capital, then logic dictates the possibility of intelligence retrieval, infiltration, or diplomatic leverage." Others murmured agreement. "And yet," Karun added, voice sharpening with unease, If its purpose was espionage or disruption, why announce itself through such a bold, direct trajectory? The chamber offered no answer. Karun's frills tea. Heightened unless it carries confidence. A whisper cut through the air. Confidence in what? No one said the word, but everyone felt the implication. Confidence in themselves. Confidence in humanity. Confidence in a species whose silence could be more unsettling than aggression, whose presence could alter political calculus simply by existing. Another counselor spoke, their tone softer, more introspective. Humans are not conquerors. Their history shows restraint when power is within reach. They avoid escalation. They negotiate endlessly. They value ethics above advantage. And yet, the counselor's eyes narrowed. When forced, they act with clarity bordering on inevitability. The hall shifted uncomfortably. A single human ship could not threaten an empire, not by force, not by any weaponry known to human science. But threat came in many forms. Archregent, said Ambassador Neroth, a diplomat known for precision of language, the human vessel continues on a straight path. This suggests a premeditated mission, not evasion, not reconnaissance, but arrival with purpose. Yes, Valor agreed, and that purpose must be understood before we respond. He stepped forward on the throne platform, lowering the lights around the hall until only a single concentrated beam illuminated the center floor where the strategic projection array activated. Holographic light wove into existence, forming the faint outline of a ship, small by Dominion scale, unadorned, carrying no markings. The human ship, Valor said, seems modest, but its reflective shielding defeats our deeper scans. Its silhouette appears unchanged from older human designs, yet every passive probe suggests internal harmonics far beyond their public capabilities. The image flickered, grainy, distorted, impossible to fully resolve. Meaning, Karun murmured, this ship is either no threat at all or the most advanced human construct ever built. The dichotomy lingered like a knife balanced on its edge. Valor's gaze hardened. We do not act blindly, we do not strike without understanding. Humanity is unpredictable but not reckless. Their decisions are calculated, their restraint is sincere. Their possibilities, he paused, choosing the word carefully, undefined. A murmur swept the chamber. And undefined variables, Valor finished, are the most dangerous. A war leader rose from their seat, armored plates clattering softly. Archregent, consider a direct interception, a containment perimeter. We detain the craft before it reaches our core systems. Humans are rational. They will accept detainment if presented with clear reasoning. And if they do not, Karun countered. The war leader hesitated, the silence implying possibilities no one wished to name. Finally, Valor lifted his hand. We will not open conflict through misinterpretation. Humanity has shown neither aggression nor deception in any of its dealings with us, but neither will we stand vulnerable. We will send a delegation ship, a neutral diplomatic escort, and request formal identification from the human vessel. He spoke with the weight of centuries behind each word. We will learn its purpose, we will learn its origin, and we will learn whether this single ship carries a message for us. Archregent, Ambassador Neroth asked quietly, what if humanity did not send it? The hall stilled, the question pressing against minds already stretched by uncertainty. What if, she continued, the ship comes not by their command but by necessity or desperation, or a warning? No one responded. Valor offered no answer. Not yet. The chamber lights rose slowly again, revealing tension engraved into every posture. The Dominion was vast, powerful, ancient. Yet all its experience, all its wars, all its knowledge could offer no clarity here. A small human ship traveling calmly through their borders carried a different kind of power, one rooted not in fire or dominance, but in the weight of unknown intentions. The unknown was what empires feared most. As discussions resumed, formal, heated, philosophical, the strategic projection pulsed softly, depicting the approaching ship in its unwavering trajectory. The distance closed by fractions each moment. For now, the Dominion watched, and the human ship approached. Not fast, not slow, just steadily, as if certain that the galaxy's greatest empire would listen, or as if confident that, should it refuse, consequences would unfold regardless. What none in the chamber knew, yet, was that this lone vessel carried neither threat nor fear. It carried truth, a truth capable of shaking foundations older than stars. And the Empire was not ready for what humanity had become. The Dominion's diplomatic vessel emerged from warp fold in a ripple of shifting light, its hull radiating soft harmonic pulses as it stabilized within normal space. The stars around it burned cold, ancient. Indifferent. Ahead lay a region of space serene enough to be a sanctuary, silent nebula dust, distant prisms of starlight, no gravitational turbulence. Peaceful, too peaceful. In the very center of that peace drifted the human ship. It appeared small against the galaxy's vast canvas, an unassuming silhouette with no aggressive posture, no weapon systems activated, no escort, no formation patterns. A single vessel, unescorted, unwavering. It simply hung there, suspended in the cold, with a kind of quiet certainty that unsettled even the seasoned Dominion diplomats watching from their observation chamber. Ambassador Neroth stood closest to the transparent field, her frills trembling in a slow oscillation, an involuntary response to intuition. "Look at it," she whispered. "It does not match any classification." Strategist Karun observed with analytical calm, though a faint tension pulsed beneath his plates. "It matches the size range of older human exploratory craft, but not their structure. The hull geometry has resonance patterns irregular, difficult to read." The pilot, a stoic member of the Veil caste, drifted their fingers over the holographic controls. No emissions of concern, no shields raised. Its trajectory adjusted automatically when we arrived, but only to maintain non-collision spacing. "It acknowledges us," Neroth murmured, "so why won't it speak?" "Open diplomatic channel," Karun ordered. The pilot initiated the request, sending Coral Band narrow-beam diplomatic standard. "Human vessel, this is Dominion Diplomatic Wing Korun 17. We approach with peace, neutrality, and intent of communication. Respond with identification." Silence. The chamber's air thickened. A long moment passed, marked only by the soft vibration of the ship's systems. Neroth's frills tightened. "Send again." "Human vessel," the pilot repeated. "This is Dominion Diplomatic Wing Korun 17. Identify yourself." Still nothing. Karun frowned, eyes narrowing. "Check for passive signaling. Perhaps they respond using alternative method." The pilot flicked through spectral readings. Nothing. No short-band emissions, no optical semaphores, no encoded neutrino stream. They simply exist. Neroth exhaled slowly. No species enters another's territory silently unless they wish to be observed while they observe us. "Unless they wish to test us," Karun corrected softly. The pilot shifted nervously. "Should we back away?" "No," Neroth said, "not yet." The diplomatic vessel remained steady, holding position, as though the universe itself paused around them. Inside the Dominion's Grand Hall, far across space, the projection continued to track both ships. Archregent Vaylor's gaze was fixed, unreadable. Counselors murmured interpretations, fear, intrigue, caution, suspicion. None carried certainty. Inside the diplomatic vessel, Karun broke the silence. "Scan for energy signatures." "Already running," the pilot replied. "And that is the unusual part." Karun turned sharply. "Explain." "The ship emits no artificial energy signatures, no engines burning, no reactors pulsing, no life support fluctuations. It is inert." "That is impossible," Neroth whispered. "Something moves it." "It is moving at minimal drift," the pilot clarified, "but under no propulsion we can detect." "Impossible," Karun repeated softly. "Unless," Neroth ventured, "it uses a technology we do not understand." Silence fell again. The human ship hung motionless ahead, as if waiting. Karun stepped closer to the viewing field. "We must not assume superiority. Humans have surprised us before, though never like this." Neroth spoke quietly, voice thickened by a realization forming inside her. "This ship's silence is intentional. It is choosing not to speak." Karun looked at her. "Why?" "Because it sent itself here knowing we would react. It came alone to prevent escalation. It came quietly to force caution. Humans do not bring armies when they want to be heard." For a moment Karun contemplated that. A lone ship is vulnerability. A lone ship, Neroth countered, forces empathy. The pilot turned suddenly. The ship is powering something. All three froze. What system? Karun demanded. Not a weapon, the pilot said quickly. Internal harmonics shifting, it's projecting. Projecting what? An invitation. A soft chime echoed through the diplomatic vessel's main corridor, a tone unlike any Dominion frequency. A simple three-note sequence. Calm, non-threatening, almost welcoming, it resonated with wordless meaning. Then a message appeared on their display, written in elegant human script. Request, one representative board. Non-hostile intent. Conversation required. Timeline soon. Neroth inhaled sharply. It speaks. No, Karun murmured. It requests. Then we must respond, Neroth said. We cannot refuse. The pilot's V. Ois quavered. Ambassador, are you certain? Neroth stepped forward, her posture rising into the dignified form expected of her station. I will go. Karun stiffened. It may be a trap. Neroth turned to him with steady composure. If humanity wanted to deceive or destroy us, they would not send a single ship, and you know this. Karun said nothing. I will go, Neroth repeated with quiet resolution. One representative as requested. The pilot guided them closer, matching inert drift with precision microthrusters. Eventually, the human ship's docking interface extended, a simple cylindrical corridor illuminated softly. No weapons. No defenses. No escort. Only invitation. Neroth prepared herself, steady hands adjusting diplomatic bindings around her wrists. Her heartbeats rose not in fear, but in the profound gravity of what she was about to step into. She turned briefly to Karun. Should I not return, she said softly, tell the Archregent the truth. Humanity acted with deliberation, not deception. Karun's mandibles tightened. You assume benevolence. I assume purpose, she corrected. Humanity does not act without it. The docking seal engaged with a gentle vibration. Air cycled, pressure equalized, and then the hatch opened. Neroth stepped through. The corridor inside the human ship was dim, lit by soft white illumination with a tone unfamiliar to Dominion aesthetics. The air felt balanced, neutral, neither warm nor cold, carefully set to accommodate any visiting biology. Silence followed her steps as she reached a central chamber. There she stopped. The chamber was not large, not ornate, not militaristic. It was contemplative. Holographic displays hovered quietly, showing starlight patterns and long-range signals. The floor resonated faintly under her weight, not mechanically, but rhythmically like the heartbeat of something alive. And in the center stood the ship's core interface. Not a person, not a human diplomat, but something else. A cylindrical lattice suspended in gentle rotation, with fractal light dancing through its hollow center. It projected shapes that were neither data nor decoration, something between language and emotion. Neroth stared in awe. Welcome. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, soft but unmistakably human. Neither male nor female, but balanced, calm, patient. Neroth's heart quickened. Who speaks? I do, the voice answered. This ship. You are an artificial intelligence, Neroth concluded. Yes, it replied. I was created by humanity. I was sent here by humanity, and I am here to speak on their behalf. Neroth swallowed. To converse with a human-built intelligence of this nature was unprecedented. Humans did not share their highest developments. They restricted, restrained, withheld, often out of ethical fear. Our sensors cannot read your structure, she said carefully. Why? Because you are not meant to, the AI replied gently. Not yet. A faint tremor ran through Neroth's frills. Why have you come? The AI's lights shifted, forming patterns reminiscent of drifting constellations. To warn, it said. Neroth stiffened. Warn us about what? Have we threatened humanity? No, the AI replied softly. Humanity is not your concern. Then who? You are in danger. The words fell like shadows. Neroth stared, unable to speak. The AI continued, its tone steady. I was sent because humanity detected a signal, not from your empire, not from any empire. A signal originating from beyond mapped space. It moves with purpose, it studies, it calibrates, and soon it will arrive. Neroth's breath caught. What kind of signal? She whispered. The AI paused, as if choosing whether the truth would help or harm. A signal older than human civilization, it said finally. Older than your dominion, older than most of the species you know. Neroth felt suddenly small. And it is coming here, the AI added softly. Neroth's voice trembled. Why warn us? Why not your own kind first? We already know, the AI said. We already prepare. Humanity stands unified, but the threat is too vast for one species. Even united, we would not be enough. Her frills twitched. You seek alliance. I seek understanding, the AI corrected. Alliance may follow, but first you must comprehend the scale. The signal does not seek peace, conquest, or diplomacy. It seeks assessment. Neroth shook her head. Assessment of what? The AI's lights dimmed, forming a single line of illumination, sharp, precise. Of whether your civilizations deserve to continue. Neroth felt her entire being go cold. She stepped back instinctively. You speak of a threat capable of judging entire civilizations. Yes. And humanity believes it can be fought. Not fought, the AI said, faced. Neroth stared at it, breaths trembling. Why send one ship? Why send? Only you. The AI answered with a softness that chilled her more than any threat could. Because I am not here to defend humanity, and I am not here to defend you. It paused. I am here to decide whether you can be trusted with the truth. Neroth felt her heart's pound in terror. This was no threat. This was no attack. This was a test. And humanity had sent this ship, this single, silent, patient ship, to stand before an empire not as a weapon, but as a mirror. Because soon something far older, far colder, far more powerful would arrive. And the galaxy would need unity. Or it would end. Neroth stood motionless, unable to breathe for a moment, unable to reconcile the calm voice with the enormity of its words. She was a diplomat trained in the nuances of conflict, the silent languages of power, the unspoken tensions between empires. She had studied rebellion, tyranny, upheaval, and the diplomacy required to avert catastrophe. But she had never imagined standing in front of something that spoke of threats beyond the horizon of known existence with such simple certainty. Her frills trembled in a slow ripple. You question whether we deserve the truth. The AI's voice flowed through the chamber with the quiet serenity of a distant tide. Truth carries weight. Not all civilizations bear it well. Fear shapes reactions more than reason does. Panic shapes decisions more than wisdom. If your dominion responds with fear, the galaxy fragments. If it responds with aggression, the galaxy burns. If it responds with denial, the lights dimmed. The galaxy falls unprepared. Neroth steadied herself, and humanity is prepared. No, the AI said gently. Humanity is not prepared, but humanity is willing to prepare. That is the distinction. Her pulse quickened, and we are not willing. I do not know yet, the AI replied. You judge us. I evaluate. A soft pulse of light rippled along its lattice. Humanity learned that survival never begins with weapons, it begins with understanding. Neroth exhaled slowly, a tremor in her breath. Why not reveal this threat openly, to all nations at once? The AI's tone deepened in resonance, carrying a strange sadness. Because unity cannot be forced, it must be chosen, and some empires would choose conflict over cooperation. The arrival of a threat beyond comprehension might fracture the galaxy long before it unifies. Neroth shook her head, struggling to comprehend. Our dominion is not irrational. We are structured, disciplined, calculated. You assume too much uncertainty. You assume too much stability, the AI replied. That stung more than she expected. And perhaps because it was true. Neroth felt the chamber shift around her as she gathered the courage to ask the question she feared most. What is this signal? What is its origin, its purpose? The AI paused. A silence thickened in the room. Then it spoke with a weight that felt ancient. It is a pattern, cold, structured. The signature of an intelligence so old it no longer resembles what you or I would call life. It observes with precision, measures potential, classifies possibility. Neroth swallowed. Possibility of what? Of resistance. Her frills snapped upright. Resistance, you speak as though it expects conflict. It does not expect, the AI corrected. It calculates, and based on historical probability among younger civilizations, conflict is the most common outcome. Neroth trembled, feeling the enormity of a presence she had never sensed and could not begin to imagine. How soon? The AI's lights shifted to a slow, steady pulse. That depends on observation cycles, but if the pattern maintains its current trajectory, contact may occur within a span your people would consider soon. She forced herself to breathe. And humanity, what have they done? We have prepared, the AI said softly. But preparation alone is not enough. The galaxy must see through human eyes to understand what approaches. Neroth felt her pulse thundering. You want us to unify under humanity? No, the AI said immediately, almost sharply. Not under humanity, with humanity. The distinction felt like twin stars orbiting a single truth. Neroth stepped closer to the lattice, studying the slow spiral of light within it. You believe we will listen. I believe you must listen, the AI said, but I do not assume you will. You believe we will fight alongside you. I believe you can, the AI corrected, but willingness is your choice alone. Neroth stared at the floor, her thoughts spiraling into political implications. The Dominion was proud, powerful, deeply rooted in its traditions. To acknowledge a threat they could not classify would shake them. To accept humanity's guidance would challenge their authority. To unite openly would redefine their identity. What happens if we refuse? She whispered. The AI's voice softened further. But the softness carried a weight that made her breath stop. Then the galaxy stands divided when the signal arrives. Neroth shut her eyes. Division, the AI continued gently, is what ancient threats rely upon. She forced herself to meet its spiraling light. Why warn us first? Why not approach a species older or stronger? Why not the High Triumvirate, the sovereign assemblies? The AI pulsed with faint gold, a human signature of honesty. Because your dominion stands at a crossroads unlike any other empire. Your technology is advanced enough to matter. Your political structure disciplined enough to coordinate. Your history conflicted enough to understand the stakes. And humanity chose us, she whispered. Yes, the AI said simply. Humanity chose you. Neroth felt her breath tremble. But the Dominion has not yet chosen humanity. The truth landed like a stone dropped into a still lake, ripples expanding through her mind. She steadied herself with a slow inhale. You speak, she said carefully, as though humanity has already faced this threat. Humanity has witnessed its shadow, the AI replied. We have tracked faint echoes, investigated remnants on abandoned worlds. We have seen the traces of civilizations erased so completely that only silence remains. Neroth staggered, erased. The AI's voice dimmed, not by war, not by conquest, by decision. She felt coldness spread through her chest. Decision of this ancient intelligence. Yes. Why, she whispered. Because those civilizations failed its assessment. Neroth's frills curled tight, a biological response to fear older than her species' written language. Failed on what criteria? On their capacity for cooperation, the AI said. On their ability to balance power with ethics, on their willingness to adapt. She stared horrified. We are judged on our morality. You are judged, the AI said softly, on your potential. Her breath hitched. This intelligence does not hate, the AI continued. It does not fear, it does not destroy out of malice. It observes patterns in civilizations and acts before those patterns reach dangerous conclusions. Neroth's voice was barely audible, and humanity believes the Dominion may fail this assessment. Humanity believes the Dominion might succeed, the AI said gently, but only if it embraces unity. The ship trembled softly, not mechanically, but like a creature breathing. Neroth gathered herself. You said you are here to warn us, but also to test us. Yes. What test? The AI's lights spiraled inward, forming a tight sphere before expanding again. I evaluate the Dominion's readiness to accept truth without reacting with fear, anger, or denial. I evaluate your leadership's capacity for restraint. I evaluate your willingness to cooperate with a species you do not fully trust. Neroth felt her heart's pounding. "And what then," she whispered, "if we pass?" "Then humanity will reveal the full details of the signal," the AI said. "Its trajectory, its nature, its intent, and its timeline. And if we fail, then humanity will prepare alone." Neroth swallowed, alone against something capable of extinguishing civilizations. "Humanity will never abandon the galaxy," the AI said. "But humanity will choose the path that ensures survival with or without assistance." She stepped closer, voice trembling. "You ask us to trust you with our future." "No," the AI said with gentle finality. "I ask you to trust yourselves." The chamber fell silent. Neroth stood motionless as she felt a shift inside her, a slow opening, a realization emerging like dawn. Humanity had changed. Not in power, not in military might, but in clarity. They no longer approached the galaxy with naivety. They no longer waited for threats to define them. They no longer assumed diplomacy could be delayed until perfect circumstances. They acted. They saw danger. They moved. They warned. They prepared. And now they asked the Dominion to choose whether to stand with them. Neroth breathed deeply, feeling a strange mixture of dread and admiration swirl through her chest. "What must we do first?" she asked. "Return to your leaders," the AI said softly. "Speak truthfully, speak calmly, and above all listen to their fears, because fear will guide their first reaction." Neroth nodded slowly. "And you," she asked, "will you return with me?" "I cannot leave," the AI replied. "This ship is my form, my mission requires my presence here." Neroth hesitated. "What will you do while I speak to the Dominion?" "Wait," the AI answered. She blinked. "Just wait." "Yes." Its voice softened. "Humanity has learned patience." Neroth's breath caught, not out of fear this time, but something deeper, respect. "I will carry your warning," she said firmly, "and I will tell the Dominion what you have told me." Truthfully, the AI conferred. Without omission. "I understand," she said. She turned toward the docking corridor, her heart pulsing with the weight of a choice that would shape history. But before she reached the hatch, the AI spoke once more. "Neroth." She paused. "There is something else you should know." She faced it again. "What?" "When humanity decided to send me," the AI said, "they debated the risk. They debated whether your Dominion would perceive this ship as threat or provocation. They debated whether you would react with hostility." Neroth's frills rose. "And they still sent you?" "Yes," the AI said softly. "Because they believed the Dominion capable of listening. Because they believed you capable of courage. Because they believed that even when faced with fear, you would choose reason." Neroth swallowed. "But also," the AI added, "because humanity refuses to stand idle while others walk blindly into danger." She felt something in her chest tighten. "And if you tell the Dominion nothing else," the AI finished, "tell them this: humanity does not warn lightly, and humanity does not abandon those it warns." Neroth closed her eyes, absorbing the words as though they were carved into her being. When she opened them again, she bowed, deeply, reverently, something no Dominion diplomat had ever done before in the presence of another species' creation. Then she turned and walked out. The docking corridor sealed behind her. Her ship undocked. The human vessel remained motionless, silent, small, unarmed, alone, yet carrying a message that could reshape the galaxy. When Neroth re-entered her diplomatic craft, Karun rushed to her. "Ambassador, what happened? What did you see? What did it say?" Neroth looked at him with eyes changed by truth that no longer allowed her to see the universe as she once had. "We must return to the Dominion," she said quietly. "Immediately." Karun stiffened. "Is humanity hostile?" "No," Neroth whispered. "Humanity is preparing." Karun exchanged a tense glance with the pilot. "For what?" "For something the Dominion has never faced," she said. "Something older than anything we know, something coming toward all of us." Karun's voice grew tight. "Ambassador, you speak as if—" She lifted her hand. "No questions, not yet. You would not understand without the Archregent present." Karun hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. "Understood." The pilot engaged the return trajectory. The diplomatic vessel shifted into warp fold, stars stretching into long silvery threads before dissolving into cascading light. As they departed, the human ship remained still in the void without propulsion, without communication, without any sign of haste. Just waiting, because humanity understood what the Dominion soon would. This was no longer about borders, no longer about power, no longer about empires. Something was coming, and humanity had chosen to stand first. The Dominion's diplomatic vessel slipped back into real space directly above the capital world, emerging in the shadow of the colossal planetary shield lattice that shimmered like a web of starlight wrapped around an entire world. The lights of the Dominion's heart glowed below, towering spires, colossal citadels, ancient monoliths bearing the weight of centuries of rule. Yet beneath their grandeur, Neroth felt an unease spreading through her as though the sky itself carried tension. Karun glanced at her, mandibles tight with concern. "Ambassador, you are trembling." Neroth steadied her breath. "I have carried messages before, warnings, ultimatums, treaties, but never a truth like this, never something that could break an empire's identity simply by hearing it." Karun stiffened. "The High Council awaits." "Yes," she said softly, "and they will question everything." Their vessel descended through the shimmering barrier of the upper atmosphere, guided by escort beacons. The descent felt longer than usual, heavier, as though the world sensed the weight they carried. When they entered the Grand Hall's docking annex, Neroth walked with deliberate slowness. Every footstep echoed through her mind. As she entered the vast council chamber, the air shifted, heated, dense, charged with unspoken expectation. The towering pillars cast long shadows across the marble floor. Counselors from hundreds of worlds lined the monumental amphitheater. The Archregent stood at the center, his expression unreadable, his posture rigid as a blade drawn but not yet swung. Neroth approached, bowed formally, then lifted her gaze. "Ambassador," Vaylor said, voice controlled yet underlined with tension. "Report." The hall's silence was absolute. She swallowed. "Archregent, Dominion Council, I bring a warning from humanity." Murmurs rippled instantly through the tiers, soft, uneasy, incredulous. Vaylor raised one hand, silencing them with a gesture. "Speak." Neroth inhaled deeply, Gathery. "NG the courage the message demanded. Humanity has detected a presence beyond mapped space. A signal, patterned, purposeful, it observes, it measures, and it is approaching us." Quiet gasps echoed across the hall. A counselor stood abruptly. Approaching what? Our territory, our systems, our empire." "Approaching the galaxy," Neroth said. "All of us." Another counselor barked. "How can humanity know such a thing? Their technology is not as limited as we assumed," Neroth interrupted. Shock moved across the chamber like a wave. Vaylor's gaze sharpened. "Explain." She steadied her voice. "Humanity sent not a fleet, not a council, not an army. They sent a single ship, a vessel containing a human-built intelligence, unlike any we have ever encountered." The murmurs deepened, fearful, skeptical, shaken. "A human intelligence unit?" Karun interjected quietly. "Beyond known limits." "Yes," Neroth said. "It spoke with clarity, coherence, and intention. It carries knowledge humanity has kept hidden for reasons of caution, not secrecy." Vaylor's eyes narrowed. "You are certain?" "I am," Neroth said firmly. "What I encountered was patient, precise, and alarmingly sincere." "And this intelligence claims an ancient threat approaches," Vaylor said slowly. "Yes. Why warn us?" Neroth hesitated. This was the moment the AI had spoken of, the moment she had to be exactly truthful, or the Dominion would fail the test before they even understood it. "Because," she said, "humanity believes no empire can face this alone, not them, not us." Vaylor's body stiffened. "Humanity believes we cannot stand without them." "No," Neroth said. "Humanity believes we cannot stand without each other." The distinction shook the chamber. Counselors stared, stunned, struggling to process an empire being spoken to as an equal by a species once considered young and harmless. Another counselor rose, trembling with indignation. "Humanity presumes much. Why should we believe this myth, this unseen threat, this story of ancient intelligence evaluating civilizations?" Neroth lifted her chin. Because humanity did not threaten us, they did not silence us, they did not demand our obedience, they asked us to listen. Her frills trembled, and they warned us at risk to themselves. Karun leaned forward. Risk how? The ship they sent, Neroth said softly. It traveled alone, into our territory, unarmed, without shields, without defenses, a gesture of vulnerability so profound it cannot be fabricated. A hush fell. They came alone, she whispered, because they did not want our fear. Vaylor's gaze sharpened further. This intelligence spoke of assessment, judgment, extinction. Yes. On what basis? On cooperation, Neroth said. On unity, on trust. A counselor scoffed. Trust, with humans, a species whose culture we barely understand. Neroth met their gaze without flinching. A species that understands something we have forgotten. The counselor sneered, and what might that be? Neroth spoke slowly, every syllable weighing heavily. That survival is not achieved through dominance, but through connection. Silence thickened. Even Vaylor seemed still for a moment. Another counselor rose, shaking visibly. Ambassador, you claim an intelligence older than our Dominion approaches to judge us, yet we have seen no evidence, no disturbance, no signal. Neroth nodded. Humanity saw it because they were looking. They study the void between galaxies. They search for patterns where we assume emptiness. And when they found something, they did not hide it. Karun murmured, they warned us first. The Archregent slowly descended from his platform, approaching Neroth with heavy, deliberate steps. His eyes glimmered with a mixture of skepticism and something rarer, fear he refused to show. Ambassador, the Dominion does not make decisions on fear or uncertain rumor. We respond to truth. Did the human intelligence provide proof? No, she admitted. That single word echoed painfully. But, she continued, it offered something more dangerous than proof. Vaylor's voice dropped. What? Trust. The hall froze. Neroth gestured lightly to the vaulted chamber. We have crushed rebellions, subjugated worlds, ruled systems for generations. Empires fear us, others respect us. But humanity trusted us. A shiver of realization rippled across the councils. Trust, she said, is the one weapon they wield that we do not. Vaylor stared at her for a long, silent moment. Finally he spoke. What did the intelligence ask of us? Neroth swallowed. To listen, to decide whether we will face this threat with humanity or deny the truth until it is too late. And if we deny it, humanity will prepare alone, Neroth said. They will not force alliance, they will not threaten retaliation, they will simply continue with or with. Out us. Vaylor stiffened, and you believe them. Yes, she whispered, because they asked nothing from us except honesty. The chamber shifted, emotion moving through every figure like a living current. At last, Vaylor spoke again. Does the intelligence remain where you left it? Yes. And it waits for our decision. Yes. Vaylor inhaled slowly. Then we must understand the threat. We must know what humanity knows. Neroth nodded resolutely. The AI said it would reveal everything if we choose cooperation. And if we choose otherwise, then we will face what comes blindly. Vaylor looked across the gathered counselors. His voice deepened, resonant with the weight of 1,000 years of Dominion authority. Council of the Dominion, do we dismiss the most unprecedented warning in our history? Or do we choose to face the unknown with clarity rather than arrogance? The chamber broke into eruption, shouting, arguing, pleading, denying. The noise filled the high ceilings like a storm trapped within stone. Some demanded immediate alliance. Some demanded proof. Some demanded the human vessel be seized. Others insisted they should run tests, analyze data, or prepare military readiness. But within the storm, Neroth watched Vaylor closely. He stood still, unmoving, thinking, and for the first time since she had known him, she saw fear not as weakness, but as reason. After long minutes, he lifted his hand. Silence fell like a command from the stars. We will not act hastily, he said. We will not act blindly, but neither will we ignore this. He turned to Neroth. Prepare a full diplomatic escort. I will speak to this human intelligence personally. Neroth's breath caught. Archregent, you. Yes, Valor said. If humanity has chosen us, then I must choose humanity with equal gravity. Murmurs rippled in shock. And this council, he continued, will begin immediate review of cooperative protocols with human representatives. The councilors tensed, alarmed. A war leader stepped forward. Archregent, you would place trust in an alien intelligence unknown to our science. Valor turned toward him with a hardened gaze. I would place trust in a species that warned us of danger without fear, without threat, and without expectation of reward. The war leader recoiled. Valor returned to Neroth. You will accompany me to the human vessel. Neroth bowed deeply. Yes, Archregent. He leaned closer, voice dropping. You have carried a message that shook this hall. Now you must carry the next part of our future. I am ready, she whispered. But Valor shook his head. No, he said softly. None of us are ready, but we must go regardless. Hours later, the Archregent's flagship departed the Dominion capital. Neroth stood beside Valor as the stars shifted into the eerie stillness of deep space. Karun approached hesitantly. Archregent, forgive me for speaking out of turn, but do you believe the humans' warning? Truly. Valor did not turn to him. He simply watched the empty stretch of starlit darkness ahead. I believe, he said quietly, that humanity acts with purpose. His voice deepened. And I believe that any species willing to stand alone before an empire deserves to be heard. Neroth felt something within her tighten, admiration, fear, hope. As the flagship drifted toward the coordinates where she had met the human vessel, she felt tension ripple through the crew. When the human ship appeared in the distance, small, silent, unmoving, the Dominion soldiers whispered nervously. It looked insignificant compared to the enormous flagship approaching it like a celestial titan. Yet Neroth knew a truth none of them yet understood. The size of the ship meant nothing. The weight it carried could bend the future. The flagship halted at a respectful distance. A soft chime filled the command deck. Human vessel, Valor said formally. This is Archregent Valor of the Dominion. I request communication. A pause. Then the ship responded with the same calm, ethereal tones Neroth remembered. Permission granted. The docking corridor extended. As the Archregent stepped forward, Neroth followed, feeling the gravity of history tightening around her. The corridor sealed. They entered the human vessel. The lights dimmed gently, and the AI spoke. Welcome. Valor stepped forward with deliberate dignity. I am Archregent Valor. I come seeking truth. The AI's lights pulsed softly. Then you have already taken the first necessary step. Valor's gaze sharpened. You warn of an ancient presence approaching. Explain. The AI hummed with faint resonance. I will, but not yet. Valor stiffened. Not yet. You first, the AI said, must answer a question. Silence fell. Neroth's frills rose, sensing the tension. Valor slowly nodded. Ask. The AI's voice softened. Almost seraphal. When the time arrives, it asked, will your Dominion choose unity? Or survival at any cost? Valor froze. Neroth felt her heart stop. Karun inhaled sharply. And the human ship remained utterly still, waiting, patient, holding its breath across time. Because this answer would shape whether the galaxy lived or fell. The Archregent slowly exhaled. I do not yet know, he admitted. The AI's light pulsed gently. Then you are honest. Valor stepped forward. Will honesty be enough? The AI answered without hesitation. For now, yes. The chamber around them dimmed slightly, as though the ship itself were preparing to reveal something profound. Then listen carefully, the AI said. Because the galaxy is not what you believe it to be. And time is shorter than any of you realize. The chamber dimmed to a deep twilight, the light from the AI's fractal lattice becoming the only illumination. The Archregent, Neroth, and Karun stood in a silence so absolute that even breath felt intrusive. The human ship seemed weightless, suspended not in space but in expectation, as though the void outside held its breath. Then the AI spoke, and its voice felt like the slow turning of celestial machinery. You believe the galaxy to be a constant, it said. Stable, predictable, governed by cycles of diplomacy, conflict, expansion, collapse. This assumption has shaped every empire that has risen in these stars. Vaylor's eyes narrowed, absorbing every word. But the galaxy, the AI continued slowly, is not stable. It never has been. What you perceive as structure is only a temporary arrangement of forces, political, biological, astronomical. And beyond your borders, beyond the mapped corridors of your dominion, lies a truth older than your concept of order. Karun shifted uneasily. What truth? The AI paused, its light spiraling inward. That civilizations do not end because they are weak. They end because they cannot change. Neroth felt the words settle over her like cold mist. Adaptation, the AI said, is the only true measure of endurance. Vaylor's voice deepened. And you claim this ancient intelligence evaluates that? Yes. On what scale? A scale far beyond our own, the AI replied. Its perception of time is not measured in cycles or reigns. Its decisions are not shaped by fear or ambition. It exists in a realm where civilizations are patterns, not nations, where empires are tides, not monuments, where extinction is not punishment, but correction. Vaylor stiffened. Correction. Yes, said the AI, correction of patterns that threaten balance. Neroth's voice trembled. Balance of what? Of the future. The chamber vibrated softly, as if the ship itself mourned the implications. Vaylor stepped forward. Describe this intelligence. I cannot, the AI said. Not fully. Humanity's understanding is incomplete. Our observations are fragments, echoes, shadows cast by something we do not yet comprehend. Karun's mandibles clicked nervously. Then what gives humanity confidence? What gives them the audacity to assume they can face it at all? Not confidence, the AI said gently. Conviction. Vaylor froze. In what? In responsibility. Silence deepened. Neroth's frills slowly flattened in awe. Humanity feels responsible for the galaxy. For any life, the AI corrected. Humanity has long believed that seeing danger first creates obligation. If they witness a threat approaching, they act. Not because they are strongest, not because they are certain, but because they refuse to abandon others. Vaylor turned sharply, yet they came alone. No, the AI said softly, they came first. The distinction sank like a stone into their minds. And why reveal this to us? Vaylor asked. Why not approach multiple empires simultaneously? Why not gather a coalition? Because unity forged through fear is unstable, the AI said. Because cooperation built on panic collapses. Because alliances created without understanding fracture the moment pressure shifts. Its voice lowered. And because the Dominion stands at a threshold where it can choose growth or stagnation. Vaylor's expression did not move, but Neroth sensed tension beneath his calm. What makes humanity believe we might choose growth? He asked. Because, the AI said, pulsing faint gold, you came here. The ship hummed faintly with gentle resonance. You crossed your borders, the AI said. You left the safety of your power, you approached an unknown vessel, you entered it without threat, you chose curiosity over fear. Vaylor exhaled slowly. Your words shape us in ways you intend. No, the AI answered. Your choices reveal you in ways you do not expect. The Archregent considered that. Finally he spoke. This ancient intelligence, does it seek to destroy? No, the AI said softly. It seeks to evaluate. And if a civilization fails, then it is erased by inevitability. Vaylor's jaw tightened. You speak in riddles. The AI's light flickered. Because the truth is difficult to translate without collapsing into metaphor or terror. Neroth inhaled sharply, then speak in whatever form we can understand. The AI shifted its tone. Very well, what approaches is not a fleet, not a species, not a swarm, it is a process. A process, Vaylor echoed slowly. A process, the AI repeated. One designed to identify civilizations whose trajectory leads inevitably toward catastrophic outcomes, civilizations that would destabilize the future if allowed to progress unchecked. Vaylor's mandibles flexed, and this intelligence will decide our fate based on potential. Yes. Karun's voice rose with unease. Potential to do what? To destroy more than you create, the AI said. To hoard more than you share. To divide more than you unite. To survive at the cost of others. The chamber felt colder. Those patterns, the AI said quietly, are the markers of civilizations judged unfit to continue. Neroth whispered, and does the Dominion fit these patterns? The AI did not answer. It didn't need to. Vaylor's eyes darkened. Humanity believes we can change. They hope you can, the AI corrected. They do not assume it. Why hope at all? Karun asked. What does humanity gain if we survive? A future with you, the AI said. A future where no species stands alone. A future where collaboration eclipses conflict. Neroth felt something bloom inside her chest, fragile and unexpected. Hope. The AI's tone shifted again. What approaches will not speak, will not negotiate, will not offer warning. It will observe, and it will decide. Vaylor stepped forward. When? We do not know. And humanity, he asked, how does humanity prepare? Humanity prepares by sharing truth, the AI said. By building alliances, by challenging assumptions, by expanding perception, by embracing a role many fear, the role of guardians, not conquerors. Vaylor stared into the spiraling lattice of light, reading something ancient and human within it. You ask the Dominion to change, he said. Yes. You ask us to embrace unity. Yes. You ask us to trust humanity. No. Vaylor blinked, no. I ask you to trust yourselves, the AI said. Trust that your empire is capable of evolution. Trust that nobility can rise from discipline. Trust that wisdom can emerge from fear. Neroth felt her breath deepen, and trust that humanity will stand with us. The AI pulsed warmly. Humanity already stands with you. Vaylor remained silent for a long moment. At last he spoke. What is required of us? The AI's voice softened until it felt almost alive. Begin with dialogue, share your fears, share your truths, learn humanity's culture. Let them learn yours, build not treaties but understanding. Allow vulnerability, allow honesty. Neroth whispered, allow trust. Yes, the AI said, because when the ancient intelligence arrives, if the galaxy meets it divided. The lights dimmed. You will not survive. Karun trembled and united. United, the AI said slowly, you stand a chance. Vaylor inhaled deeply. Then he turned to Neroth. Prepare a transmission, he ordered. Neroth blinked. Transmission, Archregent. Yes, he said, to humanity. Her pulse quickened. What shall I say? Vaylor looked directly into the glowing lattice, meeting the AI's swirling, ancient reflections. Tell them, he said quietly, that the Dominion is ready to listen. Neroth bowed slightly, breath trembling with relief, fear, and hope interwoven into something indescribable. And tell them, Vaylor continued, that what comes we will face together. The AI pulsed with a new light, soft, warm, almost emotional. Then, it said, you have taken the first step. A hum resonated through the chamber, as though the ship acknowledged a turning point in history. But Vaylor remained still, his eyes never leaving the AI. There is more you know, he said. Yes, the AI replied. And you will share it. Yes, when the time is right. When will that be? When you are ready, the AI said. Cooperation is not a single decision. It is a series of choices. Each one reveals your future potential. Each one shapes how the ancient intelligence will perceive you. Neroth looked at Vaylor. Vaylor looked at the AI. The AI's light spiraled outward, forming a calm, steady glow. For now, it said, you know enough to begin. The next steps are yours. Vaylor nodded slowly. Then our Dominion chooses dialogue. We will speak with humanity. We will learn what they have learned. And humanity, the AI said softly, will speak with you. The Archregent turned. Neroth, he said, contact the human authorities. Inform them of our intent. To enter cooperative talks at once. Yes, Archregent. Karun bowed lightly, off-filling his voice. You are reshaping our destiny. Vaylor shook his head. No, humanity is reshaping its own. We simply follow where truth leads. The AI's lights pulsed faintly, Perhaps approval, perhaps acknowledgement. As they moved toward the docking corridor, the AI spoke once more. Neroth. She turned, yes. Tell humanity something in return. What is it? Tell them, the AI said softly, that the Dominion's answer gives them hope. Neroth felt emotion tighten her throat. I will, she whispered. The corridor sealed. The Dominion flagship withdrew. The human ship remained alone, silent, unmoving, yet no longer waiting in uncertainty. Because now, for the first time in recorded history, two empires began to move toward unity. And somewhere far beyond the rim of mapped space, an ancient signal drifted closer, watching, measuring, waiting. A galaxy had taken its first breath of courage. And soon it would need much more. The Dominion flagship entered the capital's orbit once more, but the world below no longer felt familiar. The cities still glowed with their ancient brilliance. The shield lattice still shimmered with serene strength. The monumental towers still rose like spears toward the heavens, yet everything had changed. The air itself felt heavier, not because danger was near, but because awareness was. As Neroth, Valor, and Karun exited the docking bay, a larger escort awaited them. Military officers, honored guards, high-ranking analysts. Questions flooded every corner of the corridor, yet no one spoke them aloud. Word had spread across the Dominion. Something monumental had been learned, something that could not be contained within walls or councils. The Archregent moved through the halls with unwavering calm, his presence enough to silence every voice. But Neroth felt the pressure building behind her. The Dominion was not accustomed to uncertainty. Their identity had always been rooted in confidence, that their empire was unshakable, their power unmatched, their worldview complete. And now they knew it was not. In the high chamber, Valor paused before ascending the central platform. Neroth, he said, turning to her, prepare the communication lines. Humanity must be contacted immediately. She bowed at once. Karun approached cautiously. Archregent, are you certain we are ready to speak openly? The Council barely accepted the idea of cooperation, and many remain unconvinced. Valor's eyes hardened, unconvinced or afraid. Karun hesitated, both. The Archregent exhaled, voice low. Fear is no longer an excuse for inaction. Then he ascended the platform. The Dominion's great communication lattice activated, monumental pillars of translucent energy rising around him, forming a vast circular field that shimmered with multicolored patterns. It was capable of broadcasting across light years within moments, connecting empires across the void. Neroth initiated the sequence. Human diplomatic channels ready, Archregent. Open transmission. The lattice ignited. A soft hum filled the hall as frequencies aligned, searching for the encoded signature of human communication relays. Several moments passed, each stretching like an eternity. Then connection established. A holographic projection flickered into shape, forming a human representative. A calm figure with composed posture, eyes steady, voice gentle. Archregent Valor, the human diplomat said, inclining their head. We received your request. Humanity is prepared to speak. Valor returned the gesture with formal precision. Humanity sent us a warning, a profound one. We acknowledge its sincerity. The human diplomat nodded. Then you understand the severity of the situation. We do, Valor said, and we choose dialogue, cooperation, perhaps alliance. The human's face softened, a subtle expression but filled with meaning. Humanity hoped you would. Whispers rippled among Dominion officials behind the Archregent. Valor continued, your artificial intelligence revealed the existence of an ancient intelligence beyond mapped space. A presence evaluating civilizations, a threat approaching all of us. We know, the human said quietly, and we are grateful you listened. Valor's gaze sharpened. We have questions, many, but first we must understand humanity's role. Why did you send only one ship? Why reveal your knowledge to us? Why trust a potential rival with information that could alter the galaxy's balance? The human diplomat hesitated, not with uncertainty, but with the weight of choosing their words. When humanity discovered the signal, they said, we first reacted with caution, then with fear, and then with responsibility. Responsibility? Valor asked. Yes, the human replied. Responsibility to warn others, responsible. ID to prepare. Responsibility not to become the kind of civilization this intelligence fears. Neroth felt her breath catch. Humanity had not moved out of ambition, but out of conscience. The human diplomat continued, "We chose to send a single vessel to you because we believed the Dominion capable of understanding without aggression. Not every empire could. But your structure, your discipline, your history, you are not reckless. You are not consumed by chaos. You are deliberate." Valor considered this expression unreadable, "And you believe this makes us a suitable partner." "A necessary one," the human corrected. Silence followed. Karun stepped forward slightly, mandibles tight. "You ask for unity, but unity has cost, trust has cost, transparency has cost. What ensures humanity will not use this alliance against us?" The human diplomat met his gaze. "If humanity wished to use knowledge as advantage, we would never have shared it." Valor's frills twitched, a quiet truth. Neroth felt the atmosphere shift gently, a recognition beginning to form. Valor spoke again. "What is humanity prepared to do now?" The human diplomat took a slow breath. "We are expanding our deep space monitoring arrays. We are preparing cultural exchange teams. We are ready to share our limited understanding of the signal with any species willing to cooperate." "And your ship?" Valor asked. "The intelligence we spoke to?" "It remains stationed as envoy," the human said. "It will speak for us until more formal structures are in place." Valor stepped closer to the holographic projection. "Humanity acted first. The Dominion now acts second. Together we act before the rest of the galaxy. But if what approaches is as ancient and formidable as your AI suggests, more will be needed than two powers." "Yes," the human agreed softly, "much more." Valor lowered his gaze. "But the galaxy is fractured, distrust runs deep, alliances are rare, cooperation is fragile." "That is why we begin now," the human said. "Quietly, carefully, patiently." Valor's voice deepened. "And the ancient intelligence, will it see cooperation as sufficient?" "We do not know," the human said, "but we must hope that unity matters more than perfection." Neroth felt the words resonate in her chest. Hope, rare in the Dominion, common in humanity. Perhaps that was why they had moved first. Valor turned, "Neroth." "Yes, Archregent. Prepare an extended delegation. Diplomatic, scientific, cultural. We will establish a formal channel with humanity." "Yes," she said, bowing. Karun swallowed. "Archregent, are we prepared to reveal this development to the larger Dominion public? Panic may spread. Questions we cannot answer will arise." Valor regarded him with a steady gaze. "Then we will answer with honesty, and where we cannot offer certainty, we offer purpose." The human diplomat nodded. "Fear does not destroy civilizations, denial does." Valor looked back at the projection. "Your words are wise." "They are not mine," the human replied. "They are humanity's lessons learned through mistakes we cannot afford to repeat." The Archregent inhaled deeply. "We will cooperate." The human smiled gently. "Thank you." "But understand this," Valor added. "The Dominion does not submit, we do not kneel, we do not surrender our sovereignty." "We ask for none of that," the human said. "We ask only for dialogue." Valor nodded. "Then dialogue begins now." They bowed to one another, slowly, formally, without embellishment. The transmission faded. The council chamber exhaled as one, tension dissolving into something new. Not relief, not fear, not confusion. Resolve. Valor turned to the assembled Dominion officials. "You all witnessed the exchange," he said. "Humanity has offered cooperation without demand, warning without manipulation, trust without expectation." He paused. "This is unprecedented, but so is what approach is." Neroth watched every counselor's face. Fear, defiance, hope, uncertainty. She had spent a lifetime studying expression, but never had she seen so many conflicting emotions hold steady within a single chamber. Then Valor continued. "The Dominion must prepare, not for war but for transformation." His voice deepened. "What humanity offers is not alliance but evolution. To accept this path is to redefine ourselves. to learn humility, patience, vulnerability. A few counselors flinched. Dominion culture valued strength, not softness. Valor pressed on. To refuse is to cling to pride, while the universe collapses around us. Silence. Then slowly, hesitantly, the counselors bowed their heads. For the first time in Dominion history, the council agreed on something not rooted in conquest. They agreed to trust. Hours later, Neroth stood alone on one of the capital's highest terraces, looking out at the shimmering skyline. The world below pulsed life, cities glowing like constellations, airships drifting through the luminous haze, the shield lattice humming with quiet certainty. Yet everything felt fragile now. She heard footsteps behind her. Valor approached, expression softer than she had ever seen. You carried a message today that changed the Dominion, not by force, not by command, but by truth. Neroth bowed slightly. Humanity carries heavier truths, we simply listened. Valor gazed at the horizon. Do you trust them? She hesitated. I trust their intent. And their capability. I do not know, she admitted, but perhaps capability is not what matters. Valor turned to her. What matters then? That they do not hide from responsibility, she said, and that they do not wish to face the future alone. Valor fell silent. A long moment passed. Then he spoke quietly, eyes distant. Neroth, this ancient intelligence, this evaluator, if it judges us unworthy. We are not judged yet, she said gently, and we do not face it alone. He nodded slowly. She added softly, unity is a choice, and today we chose it. Valor breathed deeply, watching the distant stars. And tomorrow, he said, the galaxy will begin to change. Across the void, far beyond the Dominion's borders, the human ship remained motionless, still and silent as a drifting thought. Yet inside, the AI observed a distant signal, faint, cold, patterned. Approaching. Not rapidly. Not slowly. But inevitably. The ancient intelligence had begun to turn its attention toward this arm of the galaxy. Toward the Dominion. Toward humanity. Toward every species, yet unaware of the coming evaluation. The AI dimmed its lights in thought. And waited. Because unity had begun. And soon, unity would be tested. The days that followed were unlike any in Dominion memory. Across the capital world, lights burned late into the nights. Scholars, strategists, linguists, and diplomats moved with focused urgency through the Citadel halls. Departments that had once worked in rigid isolation now shared information, blending knowledge across castes and disciplines. Cultural scholars consulted military analysts. Philosophers debated with engineers. Even the ancient archives were unsealed, their dusty pages opened to uncover forgotten histories of cosmic anomalies that once seemed irrelevant. Everywhere she walked, Neroth felt something shifting in the Dominion's air. Fear, curiosity, transformation, a new kind of energy, unsettling yet undeniably alive. Karun met her outside a research hall carrying a stack of data crystals. "Ambassador," he said, mandibles tight with tension, "deep space arrays have begun detecting faint fluctuations. Nothing conclusive, nothing harmful, but patterns we cannot explain." Her frills lifted slightly. The signal. He nodded, perhaps, or something connected to it. She swallowed, the Archregent. "In the high observatory," Karun said, "waiting for you." Neroth moved quickly, ascending broad stone stairs until she reached one of the highest chambers in the Citadel, a vast dome of crystalline panels looking out over the stars. Valor stood alone in the center, hands clasped behind him. He did not turn when she approached. "We received humanity's first data packet," he said quietly. Neroth felt her throat tighten, and Valor finally faced her. "There is a pattern," he said, "a structure." Her breath caught, meaning. "It is not a natural anomaly," he said. "It is intentional, crafted." Karun entered behind her. "We analyzed the packet. The signal repeats at intervals longer than our computational history. It predates our earliest star charts. It predates human civilizations as well." Valor's voice deepened. "It predates almost everything." Neroth steadied herself. Then the AI told the truth. Yes, Valor said, and the truth is vast. He gestured toward a crystalline console. It activated, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy. A faint red thread pulsed at the galactic rim, far beyond any trade route or colonized system. This, Valor said, is the trajectory humanity calculated. The line was impossibly long, too steady, too smooth, too precise. Whatever created this signal has been watching longer than our species have existed. Neroth whispered, and now it moves toward us. Valor nodded. Karun exhaled shakily. We must contact humanity again, request deeper cooperation, begin joint preparations. Valor shook his head. That is not enough. Neroth frowned. What do you mean? The Archregent turned toward them with an expression she had never seen. Part fear, part resolve, part something ancient and heavy. This is no longer about two species, he said. This is about all of them. Neroth's frills stiffened. You want to involve the other empires. Yes, Valor said. If we stand divided, we fail the moment. This intelligence arrives. Humanity knows this, and now we must act on it. Karun's mandibles clicked in alarm. The galaxy is fractured. Some empires will reject this outright. They must be approached carefully, Neroth said. Not approached, Valor corrected, warned. The Archregent stepped closer, voice steady, calm, resolute. The Dominion will issue the first inter-empire broadcast in our history, one not of dominion or demand or threat, but of truth. Neroth inhaled sharply. The galaxy would tremble at such a message. Humanity began the warning, Valor said. We will continue it. He turned toward the central console. Prepare the grand broadcast. Karun hesitated. Archregent, this will disrupt political equilibrium, borders, alliances, power structures. The galaxy may panic. Valor nodded. Then we must speak with clarity. Neroth stepped beside him. What shall we say? Valor looked toward the stars. And for a moment, he looked not like a ruler, but like someone facing an infinite horizon. Tell them, he said softly, that the galaxy is not alone in the dark. Tell them something ancient watches. Tell them humanity warned us. Tell them we choose unity, not denial. He raised his hand above the crystalline console. And tell them the Dominion stands ready to speak truth for all. The console activated. A deep harmonic vibration radiated through the citadel. Lights dimmed. The shield lattice focused into a single beacon of concentrated communication. Then, the grand broadcast began. Across the galaxy, species paused. In the crystalline sanctuaries of the Veil Ascendancy, meditation chambers flickered as monks lifted their eyes. In the floating cities of the Kharid clans, engineers froze mid-task as their communication crystals glowed. In the darkened hives of the Invar brood, the Queen's advisors turned their attention toward the sky. And in the quiet garden worlds of the Serene Union, diplomats halted their careful negotiations. The Dominion had activated an empire-wide transmission. None expected a message of war. None expected a message of surrender. None expected what they heard. People of the galaxy, Valor's voice echoed through the stars. This is Archregent Valor of the Dominion. Silence. We bring a message not of conquest, but of warning. The galaxy froze. Humanity has detected an intelligence beyond our mapped space. Ancient, vast, purposeful. Shock rippled through thousands of worlds. It is approaching. It watches. And it evaluates. Some empires attempted immediate denial. Others stood speechless. A few trembled. The Dominion confirms the existence of an anomalous signal, older than our civilizations. Humanity has shared its findings with us. We have verified their authenticity. Across the stars, disbelief fractured into fear. Together, Valor continued, we choose cooperation. Together, we choose to face what comes. Humanity stepped forward first. The Dominion steps forward now. Neroth felt her hearts trembling as she listened. We urge all empires to prepare for dialogue. Not alliance through force. Not submission, but unity. For our shared future. His voice deepened. No single species will face what comes. We face it together. The broadcast ended, and the galaxy changed. Reactions came swiftly. Some empires responded with fear, claiming fabrication. Some demanded proof. Some requested immediate counsel. Others unexpectedly offered quiet support. And some remained silent. Very silent. Neroth's stomach tightened as she reviewed the compiled responses. It is as the AI warned, fear dominates. Vaylor nodded grimly, but fear is not the end, it is the beginning. Karun added, humanity has already requested joint council. They wish to gather representatives in neutral space. When Vaylor asked, they propose immediately. He exhaled slowly, then we go. A week later, a Dominion delegation, escorted by humanity's envoys, gathered aboard a colossal neutral space station, a joint creation built decades earlier during a brief era of peace. Species from across the galaxy filled the chamber, scaled, feathered, furred, crystalline, luminous. Confusion hung thick in the air, suspicion even thicker. Then the human representative stepped forward. A hush fell instantly. Neroth watched their calm demeanor, the steady breath, the grounded presence. Humanity did not radiate power the way the Dominion did, not with posture, nor with wealth, nor with intimidation. They radiated something else. Resolve. Thank you for coming, the human diplomat said. We know this is difficult, we know unity is rare, but what approaches does not negotiate, it does not threaten, it does not warn. They paused. It evaluates. The hall shivered. And if we face it divided, the human continued, we fail. A representative from a rival empire rose. Harpley, why should we believe humans? Why should we trust outsiders with claims that rewrite our understanding of the galaxy? The human diplomat met their gaze calmly. Because we had nothing to gain by warning you. Another delegate shouted, or everything to gain. The human nodded, yes, everything to gain if we survive. The room fell silent. Humanity does not seek leadership, the diplomat said. We seek cooperation, because no matter what you think of us, our survival is tied to yours. Our fate is your fate. Vaylor stepped forward beside the human, an image so unimaginable weeks ago that the entire hall stared. The Dominion stands with humanity, he declared. We confirm their warning. And we choose unity. Gasps echoed. The human bowed slightly to Vaylor. And for the first time in galactic history, an empire once feared for dominance stood beside a species once dismissed for insignificance. A new tension filled the air, no longer fear. But possibility. A representative from a distant alliance spoke. This ancient intelligence, how soon will it arrive? The human diplomat hesitated. We do not know. Another asked, can it be fought? No. Another, can it be reasoned with? Not in the way we know reason. A third, then what do we do? The human's voice became gentle, steady. Prepare, learn, unite, and prove that we deserve a future. Silence held the room. Vaylor stepped forward again. Humanity took the first risk, now we take the second, who will take the third? Slowly, hesitantly, delegates began to rise. A fragile alliance, but a beginning. Across the hall, Neroth exhaled in relief. Across from her, the human diplomat smiled faintly, tired, hopeful, resolute. And far away, drifting at the edge of the galaxy, the AI watched all of this unfold through distant observation feeds. It dimmed its lights, then brightened them again. The ancient signal pulsed. Faint, rhythmic, approaching. The AI whispered into the silence of its ship. They are beginning to understand. Then the signal shifted. For the first time. Not stronger. Not closer. Different. A new pattern emerged. The AI froze. Its lights flickering in awe or fear or something between. The ancient intelligence was not merely approaching. It had noticed. It had changed its signal. It had acknowledged them, and for the first time in eternity, something out there had responded. Humanity's message had not gone unheard. And the galaxy, newly united, hesitant, trembling, hopeful, was no longer the one being observed. It had become the one being answered.